Hey guys, welcome in. It's Brad with College SportsCast, and we are here to do our very first The Big Fuss Show.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
Just the big fuss show intro. I have John Hammonds on with me. Even made John Hammonds laugh. Are you ready to bring some heat, bring fire tonight?
I'm ready to bring some heat, brother.
All right, man. We gotta be on our game tonight for the Big Fuss Show. So I've got Hammonds on with me. We might have someone else join us here in a bit. I'm not sure yet, but we will see. We are College Sportscast, and let's get this up on the screen for you guys. We are College Sportscast. This is the Big Fuss Show. This is our very first Big Fuss Show. We did a show very similar to this last year, but I just called it Hot Topics and blah, blah, blah. So this is our first Big Fuss Show. We are presented by the Fanboys. We are featured on Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, and the Real Fresh channel, as well as you can find us on your Roku, Apple, or Fire TV on WSBN TV channel 30. Now, how you find us on Roku is this, or Apple or Fire TV. Download the BoxCast app. Once you download the BoxCast app, search for World Sports Broadcasting Network. Then when you find that, then you can find College Sportscast on channel 30 on World Sports Broadcasting Network. And then you can get us on your Roku, Apple, or Fire TV. All right, John, you ready to kind of get started here?
Yes, sir.
All right. So our opening is just going to be some hot topics. And I'll put that on down at the screen so it'll scroll as we go through a few of these. The first one for this past week was Colorado. Colorado's big win.
Prime time.
Colorado with Deion Sanders as the head coach. What are your takes on it today? They were ranked in the AP poll after their big win. I think they were ranked 22nd in the AP poll. So, John, what's your thoughts? What's your takes on the Deion and at Colorado and his big win against TCU, national runner-up?
Travis Hunter, he put on a show Saturday. He literally done it all for Colorado. And Shedeur Sanders might be one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country. This team is really good. Now, what I will say this, I think the hype is there and there's plenty of hype and whatnot, but I think it can be leveled down a little bit too. I think we just need to realize that Colorado is probably not going to win it all this year, but at the same time,
probably not.
They're going to do some things. There's a good opportunity for them to go bowling. I feel like this week, because we said it last week. Last week was, the big game for them would be Nebraska, but we did not know that they was going to pull this off at TCU. And
21-point underdogs.
I'll be honest, it was impressive. It was really impressive.
It was. I mean, they were 21-point dogs in this game at TCU, who was a national runner-up last year. As much as some people don't want to recognize that, they were the national runner-up last year. They did beat Michigan in the college football playoff, and looked pretty good beating Michigan. And then they had some injuries and looked horrible in the championship game. I will say that, but. Dion brings in like 83 new players in one off season. I mean, he is bringing in 53, I think, transfers in one off season. I mean, that's an NFL roster, an entire NFL roster, 53-man roster.
Basically,
yeah. I mean, that's an entire NFL roster, just bringing them in the transfer portal. So, I mean, Travis Hunter, I think I read, and when you're watching it, you can't sit and count the plays, but I think I read he played 121 plays in this game. He played both sides of the ball.
Yeah, that's craziness.
Yeah.
Absolute craziness, man.
And played 121 snaps, according to what I read.
And so I was watching before the game. The TCU student section was chirping. They was chirping at him.
Yeah.
And when he made that, I think they had a video of it when he made the interception with the going down to pick it off. They showed him. They showed another video of him, and they didn't say nothing. They was quiet, like they had just been told that they wasn't getting any ice cream. You know what I mean? It was like, it was like, shut up.
And then his son, I mean, Sanders, the quarterback, I don't know how you actually say his first name, Shadur. I'm not sure how you say it.
Sanders, yeah.
Shadur, that's what I thought. But, I mean, 510 yards, broke an all-time record at TCU for yardage in a game. 4 TDs, no picks.
I think he broke a Colorado record for a quarterback. If I'm not mistaken.
What I say?
TCU.
What I say? That's what I meant.
But he might have broke records there too, so I don't know.
Colorado record. Yeah, he broke a Colorado record, not TCU record. How would he break that? Anyways. All right. But so, he broke a record doing that and, scored 45 points. Of course, they gave up 42. So, I mean, my thing is with the hype, they're ranked this week. They're going back home to play Nebraska this coming week. Nebraska didn't look all that great. It should be a game they can win at home.
I was reading, I think it was this morning, that a ticket just to get into Colorado for the Nebraska game is $400 this weekend.
Yeah.
It's a hot item.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's a very hot item.
Yeah.
That place.
All right. But
granted, it's Nebraska, but
that
place is going to be absolutely rocking. It's going to be insane because
Nebraska is a big it's a big rivalry for Colorado. That used to be one of the big rivalries when they were Big 12, Big 8 schools, both of them. So, but I will say this. Let's hold the fuss just a few more minutes. Let's wait a couple of more weeks and let's see. I do expect them to probably win this game now against Nebraska at home. But with that said, let's move to TCU for a minute. What is this? What is that game? What does this mean? What does that loss mean for the season, for Sonny Dykes, for TCU? What do you think that means?
I don't think it really means a lot. I mean, they lost their quarterback last year. They had a lot of turnover in their roster. I think they fell from the rankings today. So
they did.
I don't know. I think it's just too early to really tell what it's really going to do for TCU. Sonny Dykes runs a really good program. He's going to have them prepared to play, which, if I'm not mistaken, no, that's Utah and I'm trying to think who Utah plays this weekend. Baylor. I was thinking of
play
Baylor. I
Baylor.
was thinking of Baylor.
They play Baylor.
But TCU, I just don't think it's going to really amount to. I think this was more about Colorado than it was more about TCU, I think.
That's fair. I mean, I think
But
it doesn't mean really
I'll say
anything for
this,
them in the Big
think-
12.
I don't think TCU is the team that they had last year, if we put it that way. They're not the same team. It's a different team.
Yeah, they're not college football playoff team anyway, I don't think. Yeah. All right. So the next big game that I want to get to in our topics here, hot topics, is Duke and Mike Elko last night. And the job that Riley Leonard did, I'm going to start it out with, man, did you see that 44-yard TD run by Riley Leonard, the quarterback? I mean,
Michael Vick type.
Backbreaker. I mean, honestly, had him wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. He fights. It was awesome run.
It was. I'll go.
What do you think about it?
I'll say this about. I'll start first with Clemson. The offense was absolutely atrocious. There was no separation with the receivers. The quarterback he couldn't get the ball to the receivers. I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't for Will Shipley, they get shut out. If they don't have Will Shipley, they don't even score, to be honest.
Honestly, if it wasn't for a muffed punt, I think they get shut out last night.
They get shut out.
I mean,
they had the two turnovers. Was it maybe two or three?
Yeah,
had
inside.
2 fumbles. And the one fumble was returned almost for a touchdown. It was sloppy. Last night, to me, and I know this is hard to say because Clemson has been in the talk of college football for a long time. Last night was a low point. I've said it, and I'll keep saying it.
I agree.
Until Dabu Sweeney, until he connects into the transfer portal and evolves within the college football era, he's going to get left behind, in my opinion. You can depend on 5-star guys, 4-star guys, but you got to address key roster positions. You can't just keep depending on recruiting anymore.
Needs,
yes. Because you look at FSU, you look at North Carolina, even Notre Dame, they've addressed needs. I'll be honest with you. If this Clemson team comes out the way they did last night against Duke, Florida State's liable to whip them. And I mean really good.
I thought that the entire game last night when I was watching,
even at Clemson, even when it's at Clemson.
Let's give Mike Elko some darn credit, though, man.
Yeah,
last year was his first year, and this was just his second game in his first year, and he is sitting at 10-4 now with a win over Clemson in his first game, second season, as a record physical with this Duke team.
They're a physical team. The defense played physical. They won 9 games last year.
They were 9-4.
And they was an even tougher schedule this year. But at the same time, if you look at their schedule coming up, there's an opportunity for them to be undefeated when Notre Dame comes to town. And can you imagine an undefeated Duke with Notre Dame rolling into town? The place might be even more bonkers than it was last night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you got to give they have a couple of really good receivers, they have a couple of really good backs. They have a defense that was flying all around the field and holding their own with Clemson. And then you have Riley Leonard, who, I mean, this kid's impressive. I mean, before last season, he was in a quarterback battle when Elko was hired last year.
Well,
they actually moved the guy that he beat. They moved him to a wide receiver, and he's one of them that caught like 5 or 6 passes last night.
Yeah, and the thing too,
the guy that was
I was reading something this morning that Duke had a certain amount of 3 stars, and Clemson had 4 and 5 stars all over the field, and Duke was literally playing them toe to toe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know, I tell people,
I'll say this:
it's all about coaching.
Don't sleep on Duke.
I tell people all the time, it's all about coaching. If you have coaching, you can win just about any game if you outman the other opponent.
Yeah, I mean, Elko was a good defensive coordinator, and you can see that the way Duke plays on defense. Like they're all over the field, flying around the ball, sideline to sideline. So, but to end this with the Clemson side of things, watching that game last night, I'm worried about Clemson a little bit. I mean, and I'm not a Clemson fan. It's hard for me to fathom that he went out and hired Garrett Riley and is not running some kind of version of the air raid and is still running basically the same offense.
I think it's a miscommunication with each other. I think.
And it's very hard. I mean, let me say this. Garrett Riley, the last 3 years, 2 of them was at SMU and 1 last year was at TCU, has basically averaged 36 points a game as an offensive coordinator in college football the last 3 years. Last night, minus a muff punt at the 17-yard line.
They don't even score.
Clemson gets shut out
by Duke.
Now, They did move the ball. They got inside the 5. They got inside the 10 3 times. Once they missed a field goal, and twice they fumbled. So they were there, but even those 3 times is not enough to win that game.
Mm-mm. And now, when you with the way you got the way the clock runs now, if you have a big lead like that, all the other team has to do is just run the clock, run the football.
Yep.
And it takes teams
the game
harder
is a lot
chances.
quicker if
it's a lot quicker
the team
now.
wants to play it that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you play that kind of style.
All right. So our next one gonna move. Yeah. Our next one, we're going to move on to the next one. The next one is the other big win for this past weekend, and that was FSU and Mike Norvell as they beat LSU. What did you think about this game, and what did you think about FSU and the way they played, especially the second half?
Man, they impressed me so much. First half, I felt like was kind of ugly a little bit on both sides, but they started picking it up, and man, Keon Coleman, he put on a show for Florida State. He literally put on a show.
Yeah.
Trey Benson played good. Jordan Travis played good. They just out-physicaled LSU. They just put the burner to the burner and just said, you know what, we're going to do what we do and stop it. and LSU's defense couldn't stop it. LSU
Well, they were throwing over the
like,
top, and Coleman 6'4", and he was going over top and catching him, over
I'll
top
tell
of the
you something.
receivers or defenders.
I'll be honest with you. I was watching LSU. They looked like they hadn't practiced all spring. Like they was just in quicksand.
Yeah, that's true. I'll tell you what I think, what it means for me, for LSU. And people are going to say that I shouldn't probably say this, but on my side, man, something's up with Brian Kelly. I mean, he just has some kind of arrogance about him or something, and he thinks that, that he can do no wrong and he can do whatever he wants. I mean, the truth is in this game, LSU in the first half should have had a much bigger lead. They were down there and had chances for points. Could have scored. They were inside the 5 once and had like 7 plays inside the 5 because there was a penalty, and couldn't get it in the end zone. Inside the 5, had like 7 plays.
Well,
then,
and two,
when they go for it on 4th down, inside the 5, first drive of the game, and I'm just like, Brian Kelly, what in the hell are you doing, man? I mean, this is, first drive of the game. I mean, take the points, man. I don't understand. I mean, I really don't understand. And it's baffling to me. And then he done it again in the first half.
And a lot of people wanted to pin this game on Jaden Daniels, and a lot of it wasn't Jaden Daniels' fault either. The offensive line
I think a whole lot of it was Brian Kelly.
Yeah, and the offensive line couldn't block. Offensive line was getting beat up physically, and he was just making some. And the receivers, they was dropping balls. Like it was just not a real good impression, to be honest. But to be fair,
what's up, Joe?
LSU is not going to have the kind of physical matchups that they had with Florida State going forward, though. It's going to be kind of different, I think.
And John, just real quick, UK better win this weekend. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, they better. That's all I can say. And if you know who they're playing, if you know who they're playing, that should be enough to know.
Exactly.
On that topic, let's
if you're a UK fan, you know who they're playing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But FSU, they looked impressive, man. I mean, they really looked impressive. The way FSU played and the way Clemson played in back-to-back nights, even at Clemson, I don't know if they win that game or not.
I'm just going to put it out there. I was really high on Clemson early in our preseason, but I did not pick them. Well, yeah, I did. I picked them to go to the ACC championship, but after the whole time, I wanted to really pick FSU. I think FSU has the more complete team. I think they got the better players. I think they got better quarterback play, wide receiver play. I just don't think Clemson has the playmakers they mostly have. They usually have. They don't have the skill position.
On the outside, they really don't have the playmakers that they normally have.
Not those Sunday type guys that, like T. Higgins and, those kind of guys. Yeah.
Right. And LSU, I mean, it's not an end of the season type deal. Like they lost this game last year in a different way, but they lost this game last year. They come back and still won the West and had a chance to win the SEC. So it can happen, So, yeah. I mean, they still have an opportunity to have that kind of a season, to maybe win the West and maybe make the college football playoff. but they're going to have to win almost all of them now, maybe all of them.
It's going to take.
In order to
they're
do
going to
that.
have to, and it don't get no easier because in I think 2 weeks they play Mississippi State. I think it's And Mississippi State to me looked pretty impressive Saturday. To be honest, I mean I know they wasn't playing. They was playing the garbage dump disposal of Academy, but I mean, but still, I mean they look decent. I mean,
Right.
I don't mean it disrespectful to the other team, but I mean, you win, you play who you play out in front of you is what I'm saying. So,
all right, we are going to move on to our Pick Six segment. Here we go, guys. All right. Let me see if I got this right here. There we go. Now it says Pick Six.
yep, it's up there.
All right. Welcome to our Pick Six segment, College SportsCast. So tonight we are going to do one fairly easy. Tonight, I feel like we're going to do our top 6 individual performances for week 1. So
I'll let you go first.
We watched a lot of football opening weekend. What's that?
I said I'll let you go first.
We watched a lot of football opening weekend. So top 6 individual performances. I mean, you got to start with Shadur Sanders, right? 510 yards, 4 TDs, no interceptions on the road, 21-point dogs, and pull out a win against the national runner-ups. I mean, I'm not saying these are in any order at all, but I'm just kind of picking 6 that I really thought stood out to me. I think Michael Penix Jr. had a well of a game for Washington against Boise State, who is no slouch, and they won like 59 to 15, 16, 17. I forgot what the final score was now, but it was a big blowout. Covered the spread of 14.5 points by a long shot and made sure that the country knew, hey, last season was no fluke. We're going to be there. So I'm going to take Michael Penix Jr. as one of mine as well. Going around the country, I really liked what Sam Hartman did. This was more in the Navy game in the week 0 game. I thought Sam Hartman played really, really well, and I'm going to take him as one of my 6. I thought that he had 250 some yards. He was like 19 of 23 or 23 of 25. He only had 4 incompletions, and he had 4 touchdown passes. 2 of them were to a true freshman, Greathouse, Jaden Greathouse. And I thought they looked really, really good at Notre Dame. So I'll start with them 3, and then I'll let you go and pick 3, and then we'll go back and forth.
I'm going to go Travis Hunter. I felt like he made an impression, especially on the offense and the defensive side. He was all over the field. He was making plays. You could always go Shadur Sanders. I'm going to go with Travis Hunter. The second would be the Oregon Duck. He had 546 push-ups this weekend. They ended up beating
81 points.
81-7 over Portland State.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, granted, Portland State's probably not no good, but that was pretty impressive to me. Coastal Carolina. cornerback Clayton Isbell. He had 3 interceptions against UCLA. They was in the game late, but they couldn't pull it off. Coastal Carolina, regardless of that loss,
Covered barely, but they covered.
They're still going to have a pretty good team, especially in that conference. So those were my top 3, I think, because you pretty much mentioned the top 3 that I was going to pick. So,
all right. Well, so 3 more that kind of is sitting on the top of my head, I guess. One would be Keon Coleman, I think is his first name, with Florida State.
yes. Yeah.
I really he was really impressive, high pointing the ball. I really think that he was impressive. I'm going to pick one as a homer, and he back-to-back seasons, opening game, he has had a kickoff return. And what really made this one special is about 3 days before the game, I saw an interview with him after practice in uniform, and Barian Brown basically called his shot. He told everybody, I am going to run one back on Saturday. And he did, 99 yards to the house. Yeah. And was named SEC Special Teams Player of the Week for that effort. And so I'm gonna name him just as a homer pick. You know, and then I'm trying to think. You know, I'll go with last night and go with Duke's Riley Leonard. I mean, that he didn't have spectacular passing stats, but he had over 100 yards rushing, guys.
Yeah, he did really good on the ground.
He had over 100 yards rushing, a 44-yard, unbelievable touchdown from a quarterback. He not only got away from but he juked and outran the cornerback as well to the end zone. So that's my 6.
I'll give you 3 more. I'm gonna go Trey Harris. He had 6 receptions for 133 yards and 4 touchdowns for Ole Miss. That offense was opening up again this year for Lane Kiffin. They beat Mercer 73-7, which Ole Miss has a big game this weekend, and we'll get to it Thursday in the game day pickers. They play Tulane.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be a really fun game. Offensive-wise, we could have us a shootout. I'm going to go – I don't really know. I'm going to go with Dylan Edwards. He had 159 total yards and 4 touchdowns for Colorado. He was a big pickup for Colorado. I think he had 5 receptions for 135 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, and 3 of them was receiving. But, between Edwards and Hunter and Shadur Sanders, that offense is lethal. And, good luck, Nebraska, Saturday afternoon in Boulder. That's all I can say. I will say this.
No kidding about that.
I will say this. Nebraska has a pretty decent defense. I just don't think their offense is great enough to beat Colorado. Now, they might stiffen up a little bit this weekend and play really hard, but I don't think they have the offense to do anything, to be honest. My last one. These are tough. I'll tell you one I'll go with. Jalen Milroe from Alabama. He had 194 passing yards.
He did have a good week.
He had 3 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, and he had 1 on a broken play. One of them was a broken play, and he ran it in for a touchdown. So maybe for a week, the heat is off him as far as the quarterback battle, which they play Texas this weekend. We'll find out on both sides of the ball
Did Simpson play any in that game?
I didn't think. I don't know. I didn't look at the box score. I don't know if he did or not.
I really don't know.
I really think that this week we'll find out how good Texas and Alabama truly are. We'll see up front.
We will.
What's going on with both of them.
That's one of the biggest games of the week, so we're definitely going to be covering that game.
It's the if you want to sit back on the couch on a Saturday night, it's the 7 o'clock primetime game. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Get your popcorn.
All right, so we are going to our no-fly zone segment. Here we go, guys.
Negative Ghost Rider.
That's not going to fly here.
All right.
I'm guessing this is our last
Our
segment.
no-fly zone. So this is where we pick some topics. It is. This is where we pick some hot topics, and this is where we tell you guys if it should fly or not fly. So the first one is this, Big John. We're both SEC guys. The SEC is in trouble after going 0-3 against ranked teams in week 1. Are you fly or no fly on this?
Can I have in the middle? Because I don't think it's as bad as everybody thinks. I think there's room for improvement.
It's not a good look, I can tell you that.
It's not a good look. It's probably the worst looks that we've had in a while. Beyond, I'll say, okay, I think it'll fly because beyond Georgia and Alabama, maybe the surprise team Tennessee, maybe Texas A&M with their quarterback play getting better. There's just not a lot of –
but those are maybes.
There's just not a great – it's not a great – this year it's not really a great year, I don't think. Beyond a couple of those teams and maybe a few surprises.
The SEC's in trouble?
I think they are.
All right. Now, I mean, I'm going to say no. I'm going to be different just because you said fly. I'm going to go no fly, but it is worrisome. I mean, I am worried about it. So not only did the SEC lose against 3 ranked teams, they lost all 3 games by 13-plus points against ranked teams. LSU.
Come back to me Sunday evening when Alabama and Texas play and Texas A&M and Miami play. Now, if they lose both of those, then
Mississippi State goes out to Arizona this week too.
No, it's at Mississippi State. It was Arizona last year.
Oh, is it at Mississippi State? Okay.
Yeah.
But they play each other this week.
They play each other. But if they start losing this weekend, I'll have a reason to kind of have some concern. And I still think it's a concern. Beyond the top couple of teams, there's not really a lot of great teams in there.
There's a whole bunch of higher end mid teams, I think, in this year's SEC.
I agree.
All right, so my next one is this. The Pac-12. The Pac-12 is set up to make some noise in the college football playoff after going 13-0 in week 1, and that includes USC playing twice. They are the first conference that's ever accomplished that in week 1.
I say this is a fly because you got Washington, you got Oregon, you got USC, you got even Utah. Utah is in the mix. So
Oregon State didn't look bad.
Oregon State looked pretty good. So there's possibly 3 or 4 teams They could crash the party. I mean, but the most realistic 3, if I had to put them out there, would be USC, Washington, and Oregon. To me.
See, I
And
can't
maybe
leave
you
out
have
Utah. They're the 2-time defending Pac-12 champs.
well, and then you'll have Utah, and then you'll have, the surprises like Oregon State. Who's the other team I mentioned? Utah. I think Utah, which I think Utah will be fine. I just feel like they're a different team when they have Cam Rising in the game. Last week, I felt like they probably could have beat Florida even without him. Florida is just in a flux right now. I don't know. That's a different topic for a different day, but I just don't. I'm not sold on Florida yet. Like me and you had our differences about it earlier in the year. So earlier in our preseason rankings. So.
Well, so the Pac-12 for me, I mean, I'm fly on this one. I think the Pac-12 is going to go out with a bang. I think they are set up. They have really good quarterbacks and quarterback play this year. They had 6 returning 3,000-yard passers from a year ago.
If they get their tight end back, they're going to be even better.
Yeah, I'm actually a fly on this, and I was on a post-game show with Coleman Scott talking Kentucky, and I called Riley Leonard one of the best quarterbacks, and he was a beast, and that's what Coleman's saying there.
Riley Leonard is one of those quarterbacks that a lot of people have really overlooked, and he put his stamp on that last night by showing he belongs, especially on a big stage.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. All right. So I got Jerry Carter up there saying he's not sold on the Pac-12 yet. But to finish my thought on the Pac-12, I think that I am fly. I think they're going to go out with a bang. This is basically going to be the last year of the Pac-12 after 108 years in football. So
that's a lot. That's a long time.
With the teams they have, I think they're set up to have some success this year. So that's that topic. And then we're going to move on to our next one under the no-fly zone here. Garrett Riley running the Clemson offense for Dabo instead of the air raid. Are you fly or no fly on this? Or should he have hired Garrett Riley to actually run the offense he knows?
I think this is a no-fly because, and I'll tell you why, because if you know Dabo, he's very stubborn, and he's stubborn with the portal. He's stubborn with how he runs his offense, quarterbacks. That's not to say he's not a good person. I'm not saying that. I'm saying his coaching philosophies. His coaching philosophies have to change. He has to adapt to the new era of college football.
Yeah.
Because if he don't, he's going to get left behind. And it's already looking that way right now. So, and look who just showed up. The inevitable John Roberts.
What's up, John Roberts? All right, so I'm going to tell you a little story. So before the game last night, I was watching ACC Huddle. It's basically like SEC Nation or whatever. It's before the game. It was on ACC Network. Yeah, and it's called ACC Huddle, and I was watching that. And they were interviewing Coach Dabo Swinney. He was on the field, had a mic on. They were interviewing him before the game. And Dan Mullen asked him the question about 30 minutes before game time and said, with the hiring of Garrett Riley, did you hire Garrett Riley to come in and run the offense and run his own offense, or did you hire him and he's going to come in and basically run the Clemson offense? And before the game, he actually answered and said, well, we're going to run the offense that we've always run and been here for 15 years, and he's going to collab with me, and that's how we're going to do it. And then they went out and almost got skunked. Besides the,
did you read earlier today?
I'm absolutely a no fly on this.
Yeah. Well,
I'm absolutely no flying on this.
I read today.
Dabo, if you're going to hire Garrett Riley, who has been,
I actually posted a video today. Dabo,
I just say it. If you're going to hire Garrett Riley, you got to let him run the offense.
I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but he said that our offense got compared to Brian Ferentz from Iowa, and he said when you get called that's pretty bad, and he was calling out the Iowa offensive coordinator. That ain't a good look.
Yeah,
right. He's under some intense pressure, man. I'm gonna say this.
All right.
And I'm gonna be quiet. He only got one player from the portal. Jerry had mentioned it, and he lost 12 guys. Now that's not going to get it done when you don't address those needs. And I'll be quiet.
Yep. I agree with you on that. All right. Shadur Sanders is a top 10 QB in all of college football.
Yes, sir. I think so.
Fly or no fly?
I think it's a fly. He put together one of the best games I've ever seen from a Buffalo quarterback, probably since Cordell Stewart. And I'm going to say this too. Hall of Famer Tom Brady told him to don't be satisfied with just that. Want more.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to do more. I think he's going to play more. And I tell you something, if he does that against TCU, I can't wait to watch him when he plays Oregon or Utah.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this about it. He had a heck of an opening game. He is a really, really good quarterback. I think that he has the potential to be a top 10 quarterback, but there is a lot of good quarterbacks in college football this year. The Pac-12 alone has like 6 or 8 really, really good quarterbacks. And that's not counting all the, Riley Leonards and the quarterbacks all around the country. I mean, J.J. McCarthy's and, there's just top 10. I'm going to say no fly as of now, but this is only after 1 week. So we might revisit this one.
I'll say this.
And then my last. All right.
I think Travis Hunter. That's what we're getting to. Never mind. Go ahead. I figured that was what you were going to talk about. Yeah.
My last topic for tonight on the no-fly zone segment that we are doing is Travis Hunter is a top 5 Heisman candidate after 1 week. Are you sold? Are you fly or no fly on this?
I think you got to be fly. I mean, look what he did. He played offense and defense. Has a player ever really done that in the college football era? I mean, that we know of? Who's done
the
it?
40s.
Has anybody and has anybody ever won the Heisman playing both ways? I'm not guessing there has been.
Okay, so
did Charles Woodson play? Did Charles Woodson play wide receiver?
Yes. That's who I was trying to think of. Charles Woodson played both sides, but he didn't play 121 plays. He played in some games he played 20, 25 snaps on the offensive side, something like that.
That's the guy I was thinking of was Charles Woodson, because I thought he played offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Charles Woodson. Yeah,
but he won
and he won the Heisman actually.
He won. That was the last defensive player to ever win it, I think.
Yeah, but he didn't just. Everybody says he's the last, or the defensive player or whatever. And he is, but in college at Michigan, he also played a little offense and was pretty good at it too.
There was a guy over there at Knoxville, Tennessee, that deserved that little trophy that year, I thought.
Maybe.
Hey, man.
Yeah,
I'll just be
I know
honest.
what you're talking about. Yeah,
I felt like he was impressive that year. So
yeah. But going back to Travis Hunter after 1 week, I'm gonna say fly on this.
Nah, I mean,
he was impressive. Like I said, I think I read where he played 121 snaps, offense and defense. He had over 100 yards receiving, like 121 or something like that. He had a pick out of the end zone on defense. I mean, he was everywhere. So if you can do that anywhere close to that weekly, you are definitely a top 5 Heisman candidate.
I'm with you.
I mean, that's an absolute – there's just no way. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this week as Colorado hosts Nebraska.
Oh, and
Matt Rule in his second game.
Thursday's game day pick'em should be fun. There's a lot of good games this weekend.
Absolutely.
Next week, I think the 23rd might be even better. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama, Ole Miss. There's some really good games that week.
Yeah, that's going to be some good games.
So,
oh yeah, there's going to be some good games for sure.
It's been fun weeding out, man.
Well, I got one or two more things here to go over real quick. One is this, and that is for Thursday night on September the 7th at 8 o'clock. We will be doing our game day pick'em week 2. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure that I get that up on the screen. And
you know what?
This is where we pick 10 or 12 games, so the best game.
I think you took me out of the Sunday part because you knew I loved to watch the Dallas Cowboys. I think that's why you took
Hammonds
me out.
Will be with me, and Taylor Bell will be with me. Hammonds will be with me, and Taylor Bell will be back with us for our game day pick'em on Thursday night. And we did a upset of the week, a lock of the week, and about 10 or 12 picks each week. So follow us for that. I know we kind of all had a rough start in our picks, but it wasn't all a loss. But we'll go over that on Thursday night with our game day.
I will say this: Green Bay don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, so good luck.
Yeah, I know.
Oh shoot!
Yes, I know this, Hammonds. All right, so the very last thing that I got here, and this is just something quick, just something to have a little fun on. So after the game the other night, I believe it was after the game, or it might have been yesterday at a press conference. I can't remember now, but Nick Saban was asked about Texas, and I don't know if y'all caught it, but he picked up a Coke bottle and said that this Coke bottle's not a crystal ball. And I thought I would start with this as our final buzzer for the show. Hammonds, I'll ask you this. Nick Saban's crystal ball Coke bottle says what about Texas and Alabama this week?
Look for a physical matchup. I think it's going to be a
Crystal
really
ball.
physical. I think it's going to be a physical game. I'm not sure Texas has the offense to compete with Bama. They do have – let me rephrase that. They do have the offense, but I don't know if they can go pound for pound with Alabama is what I was trying to get at. I think Alabama's just got better.
I think it's going to be a very entertaining game.
I think
I
Alabama
think it's going
has
to be a
some better
very
skills.
entertaining game. Yeah.
I do too.
Texas has the receivers. They have a
Yeah,
freshman
they got a
running
decent-
back.
But they didn't. But they really didn't impress me Saturday against Rice. They just kind of, I don't know. It just wasn't.
I agree with
wasn't
that.
a-
They
it
wasn't
a very-
really
it wasn't
impressive
very-
this past
It
weekend.
wasn't really sharp. No. And you can't do that against Alabama, which they won't. They won't. They'll be playing good for them. They'll be ready to go.
All right. That concludes our show tonight, guys. We appreciate everybody being on with us. We will see you guys on Thursday to do our game day pick'ems.
Can I please have your attention?
Have a good night.
around here.
What are you talking about?
It's actually very exciting.